Brodes Media.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome on into Sports Talk with Brodes. What a ridiculous effort by the Philadelphia Flyers heading into Edmonton, who was undefeated entering the night, right? 5-0. You're on a West Coast swing. The Flyers lost their most recent game, their home game against the Florida Panthers, took way too many penalties, and I thought at times that would come back to bite them again tonight, right? First period, 3 penalties. You got your fourth line just demolishing CC, stupid, very violent play, and quite frankly should not be happening whatsoever. Got to be smarter, but by the end, it's win a period, win a game type of atmosphere. It's 20 miles, 20 smiles type of mindset, and they dominated that third period. You know, at one stretch, they were out shooting the Oilers 11-3. They were generating some buzz there. They were holding their own, and here comes a nice transition play. Justin Braun utilizes a quick transition up the wall. It goes to Cam Atkinson, who utilizes Derek Brassard in the high slot area. Nice give and go. Weak goal. No doubt about it. Weak goal should have been stopped, but that's what Cam Atkinson does. He fires it. He lets it fly. He's willing to just let it rip. He enters the zone thinking, I'm going to score. We have not had that type of player in quite some time, so he lit the lamp twice tonight. He's just a great piece. He's a great addition to this team. He plays hard. That first period buzzer beater with 0.6 seconds left, he got up. He was able to create that turnover based off of just getting in the face of a defender, utilizing his foot as well to kick it back onto his stick and just throw it on net. There's a reason why he was once a 40-goal scorer in this league, because there's a different type of way that you are wired when you think about scoring goals. We needed a damn winger who was able to do this, and you are now witnessing the difference. Whether things should have been stopped or not, whether the 5-hole should have been closed or not, that's irrelevant. This is what goal scorers do. Let me know how many goals that Alexander Ovechkin score, how many of them sometimes are a little bit fluky. The netminder should have stopped it, right? Of course, there's blistering clap bombs, one-timers on the power play by Ovi, and there's shots where he just unleashes his maximum effort and he rips twine. But when you have the mentality of I'm a goal scorer, this is all part of it. This is part of the process and the journey, and I'm just really proud of the way that this team fought. Carter Hart was ridiculously solid. On my website, brodesmedia.com, I normally put up my notepad after the game is over, and towards the end, I had some side notes. A couple of them were 26 blocked shots. That's a team effort, right? Oscar Lindblom, take a one off the skate, going to the bench. The boys are loving it. One of them stated, Carter Hart, I probably did not have enough bullet points on the nice saves that he made. Late, there was some chances involved when Travis Konecny got called for that horrendous interference call. Edmonton goes to the power play. Draisaitl lets one go. They utilize the top of the blue line, getting traffic in front of the net. Here's Carter Hart, sound, poised. Now, I did not like that call whatsoever. I'm normally not a big the referee sucked guy. And even after the game on the TNT broadcast, we're hearing that, Connor McDavid, the league's probably going to be upset for the lack of calls caught against him. What? Did you not watch the opportunity Edmonton got because of it being Connor McDavid and Travis Konecny banging bodies as they were physical skating up the ice? And that time and place, we're calling that. And in the first period, 1 minute in, Ristolainen got caught for a high sticking call. That was not even close. It wasn't even close to a high sticking call. That was horrendous. I'm normally not a big the referee. Normally, I'm more of the guy that gets yelled at by Flyers fans saying, really, Brodes? Really? You're going to say the referees called it right? Yeah, most of the time I do say that. Most of the time I get it. I didn't get it there. And sure, was the last play offsides where it was the empty netter? Yeah, but at that point, I mean, you're really begging and really nitpicking here on the percentage of a chance for Edmonton to win that game at that point. That wasn't the difference in the game. I do have Oilers fans in my mentions, though. Carter Hart playing the puck. That played a role. I mean, if you watch this game and your takeaway is the referees ruined it, well, then you're just not watching the sport properly. I also have morons in my mention saying, Claude Giroux, I can't wait for Claude Giroux to be gone. This is a Flyers fan that is, and I'll read it to you word for word because it's so horrendous and it's so pathetic of a mentality, it makes me lose my damn mind. So what was stated was, don't make excuses for Claude Giroux. Great players get it done. I personally cannot wait for him to be gone. Did you watch this game? Did you see the way he scored? By the way, have you watched this season so far? He's been out to an outrageous start. Now, is this going to keep up over 82 games? Probably not. It's called being a human being where at some point you fade a little bit and then at some point you go through nice stretches and you're flying around there as well. So it's a little bit of give and some take here. But Claude Giroux starts the scoring off by having a nice wraparound goal. And the way that the Flyers generated that, you have great play from Ristolainen in the corner that rubs off his defender. Well, it was an offensive player, but as a defenseman, he rubs him off in the corner. It ends up being a nice transition play. Travis Konechny backhand to Couttsy. Couttsy enters the zone, stops, puts on the brakes, finds TK in the slot, misses the net. Here's G following up the play. Giroux, bang. Hits an Oilers stick, but goes in. It's behind the goal line work ethic. Amazing. Followed up by fourth line grind. Nate Thompson, Nicholas aube-kubel getting in the blue area. Generated from behind the net. Flyers are up 2-0. Now, the first period was wild. You talk about late night action. You think about Flyers after dark. You know, back when you were younger, Girls Gone Wild, HBO, Real Night. It's all the crazy stuff late. You're 13, 14, 15 years old. You're like, what is this here, fellas? What do we got? What's the wild stuff we're tuning into, I should say. That's basically what you had in that first period. I mean, it was absolutely outrageous. What happened after that 2-0? Nick Seeler's out there flopping around like a damn fish defensively, getting turned around, staring at the puck. And here's Barry with a beautiful backhand that finds Twine. That was wild. That was unreal. But you know what? He's a seventh defenseman, right? Normally when you have to play your seventh D-man for a longer period of time, you recognize those flaws and those issues absolutely show up more times than not. I really haven't noticed it to this point, but this was one of those first shifts where you go, damn, okay, Nick Seeler, what are you doing out there? And keep in mind, you're not playing with Ryan Ellis. That is an important loss. Justin Braun was +4 on the day. Now, in this first period, there was an abysmal shift by him that really bothered me, but from that point, I thought his gap was fine. I like the fact that, look, how many times on the replay were they showing? Now, Connor McDavid had a lot of shots on net. All right? I'm not going to act as if he didn't generate a lot of noise. He absolutely did. But my point is, you know, throughout the broadcast, you can only do so much. It's someone you try and limit. It's not someone you actually stop. And you got 3 guys on him. You got 2 guys on him. You're making it a living hell. When you can. It's not easy. It's difficult to do so. But there were times, you know, they highlight 2 guys, 3 guys on him, just being a pest. Well, I bring that up to you because Justin Braun in the defensive zone trying to make some sort of outlet pass with one hand on his stick, just trying to randomly redirect it with your fourth line out there as well. That's just a horrible mindset. You got to know as a veteran player who's out there with you. Oh, here's McDavid as well. Turnover in the D zone. McDavid wide open on the right post. Carter Hart makes the stellar save, but that just can't happen. And then here goes the Oilers. They're getting the Flyers stuck out there in their D zone. That's where a lot of damage could be done. So I really didn't like it from that perspective, but Justin Braun was pretty sharp after that. Ristolainen was that a second period thing? Was that a second period thing? Or was that a maybe it was. I'm sorry. The first period had a lot of notes. Oh, yeah, that was the first period because that thing was just absolutely wild, as I alluded to a handful of times already. Ristolainen also showed at times what scared the analytical crowd, and I'm not going to lie to you. I don't love what I'm seeing out of Ristolainen from the big picture standpoint. There are some nice plays involved, but I see why the analytical crowd were very nervous from him, and I don't see that changing ever. I think this is going to be a part of that product, which concerns me not so much for the compensation you gave up, which is always going to be a storyline, but knowing that his contract scenario is where it is. I don't want Chuck Fletcher to just justify a move by paying somebody. Well, we have to justify this and pay him cash because of what we gave up. I'm not saying I want him gone either. If they have success and they find a role for him, then so be it. Here he is in the neutral zone, standing flat-footed, and just whiffs on the puck completely. Connor McDavid joins the rush. It's a 2-on-1. He makes a beautiful pass into the high slot. But what's he doing there? Just standing there flat-footed, looking down at the puck? He ended up taking a puck to the stick later on at the right end of the second period, and he missed about 7 minutes of the third, which really made me concerned because now we're talking about this type of speed that Edmonton has and the firepower they have offensively, and you need to roll 5 defensemen. It just changes the flow. It changes the rhythm big time, and it makes it that much difficult for you as the minutes wear down. But he did return. He ended up playing some power play. He was power play 2 instead of Sanheim, which I don't love Sanheim out there. I thought that last game against Florida, he had bad zone entries on the power play, dropping the puck behind him at the blue line, which led to the Panthers sending it deep and killing more of their penalty kill-off, which is just unacceptable. So, I like Keith Yandel and Ryan Ellis as my 2 favorite guys that run the PP. But, of course, you kind of have to switch things up when that is not the case. Konechny got robbed by Koskinen. Scott Lawton at one point got robbed by Koskinen. This was a time to add insurance. Flyers had a power play because Lawton got interfered with in front of the blue paint. This was when it was a 4-3 game, right before Claude Giroux missed a wide-open net backdoor. Oh, it was so close. It's like he put it behind Koskinen and missed the net as well, and it went into the corner, which, the slow-mo. Oh, it hurts so much. But, I thought, look, here's an opportunity to gain some Geico, gain some insurance. Didn't get it. Power play was there. Scott Lawton gets robbed as soon as the power play ended. So it was very unfortunate. But you got to be gritty at times. You got to do the little things. And this team, Carter Hart was magnificent. The team in front of him was bought in to block a lot of shots. 26 block shots is mind-blowing. And then you got your top end of your addition scoring in Cam Atkinson. And you can't really take away from just the little details involved in that. When you enter the zone after Justin Braun with the quick up, great pass. Back to Brassard, Cam Atkinson to Brassard, back to Cam Atkinson, just opens up a little bit of space for him to let it crank. It honestly looked like he was going maybe far pad, putting it on net, seeing what could be generated that way. But like I was alluding to early in the show, when you do that, when you have that shooting with a purpose, sometimes you get some puck luck involved and somebody misplays it, and that's exactly what happened. That's what happened in the second goal as well when the Flyers went up 2-0, misplay behind the net. But when you get below the goal line and create havoc, you will get yourself some big bounces for sure. Love the fact that you were up 3-2, though, after the first 20 minutes. Whether you deserve to be or you didn't deserve to be, there's a big difference. I talk about it all the time. The first handful of minutes to start a period and the first handful of minutes to end a period is super important to your mindset when you go back in the locker room, when you're reassessing and when you're making some changes and when you're analyzing what's going on. You put yourself up a goal, whether it's fluky, lucky, a 0.6 seconds left, buzzer beater, whatever. There's a big difference being up 1 and being tied. And I could bring up exactly what happened to start the second period. You didn't really deserve to be up, and you got to come out sharp. What ends up happening? Hyman scores after a pretty passing sequence, and we talk about team effort all the time where, everybody out there did something good, and that is a reason why the Flyers had a golden chance offensively, or structure in the D zone was a big reason why the other team wasn't able to get as good of a look as maybe they should have, because all 5 guys on the ice were solid and covering their points, covering down low, good communication with cycling and banging bodies down low, throwing the body a bit right. All of that matters so much. I thought their goal to tie it up 3-3 by Hyman, that was a definition of everybody somewhat getting beat, which was not good. It started with McDavid beating Ristolainen, and as hard as I've been on Ristolainen, Connor McDavid's going to win battles. That's going to happen. That's why he's one of the greatest in the world. I don't chalk that up to Ristolainen blowing. I chalk that up to this is what Connor McDavid does, and this is why he's so special. But you win a board battle, it goes up to the blue line, they move the puck a little bit, Atkinson loses a stick battle in the slot, and then Travis Sanheim's gap was a bit poor. He was loose with his stick-on-stick there in the slot, and then Carter Hart ends up having the puck squeak through him a little bit. So everyone could have been sharper. Ristolainen on the wall could have been sharper. Atkinson could have been sharper. Sanheim needs to be better there with his gap, and I just did not like how loose he was with his coverage. Carter Hart, when something squeaks through like that, most of the time goalies say, yeah, I'd like to have it back. And that was the tie it up there in the second period. I thought the second period, the way I labeled this period was survive and advance. You survived that period. It wasn't your best. And the way they responded in the third, though, I was very proud. That's not to say the Oilers didn't have scoring chances, but you outshoot them the way that you do. You're up on your toes. You're getting in there. You can't be taking penalties, right? I mean, you're playing with fire when the skill players in Draisaitl and Connor McDavid get out there the way that they do. I mean, you're really playing with something here where it gets nerve-wracking and you get anxious. Got to get the puck out of the zone. With TK, it's like I keep going back and forth. Was the last bump needed? No. Would anything have been called if it wasn't McDavid going into the net? I don't know. It's sort of like with football when a wide receiver and a cornerback are playing hand checking and they're playing with their hands, right? It's like hand checking one-on-one. Sometimes you just chalk it up to, look, both of you guys were battling there. Someone had to come up victorious. It ended up being the corner. It ended up being the wide receiver. I think with Travis Konechny and Connor McDavid at that point of the game, too. Think about the time and placement. I know people say it shouldn't matter. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. Yeah, sure. But at the end of the day, we're talking about late third period. The Flyers have a 1-goal lead. Sometimes place does matter. Sometimes time does matter. These are two guys just being physical, skating up the ice together. Come on, you got to recognize here that the Flyers are going to be active and be, a pest and get in their face. That has to happen. That's how you succeed against the better players in this league. I mean, it wasn't anything outrageous. If it was something outrageous, I'd be the first one to put my hands up and go, okay, I understand. I don't know if I truly understand that call at all. What I do understand, though, is Claude Giroux, the captain, and his excitement after Cam Atkinson scored that goal in the first period that ended. I mean, it was just outrageous. I loved it. I loved every single moment of it. They show him screaming. He ends up slashing the glass in excitement behind the bench. He's giving fist pumps, and you can see the way. I've mentioned this before, and last season I know the Flyers were abysmal as a team, but ultimately Claude Giroux did everything in his power. There were hiccups along the way. Nobody's perfect, but if you look at the full sample size of work of Claude Giroux last year, there were times where he willed that team into games. He willed that team to be involved in the fight. They might have fell apart and lost, but not due to his own issues, due to just the team having D-zone coverage problems, turnovers galore, pizza deliveries up the middle, you name it. But G, I thought last year was a very strong player and determined, and you could see in the way that his work ethic was out there. He left it all out there, and I bring this up to you because the facial expressions on the bench in that moment, the grit of the teeth afterwards while he's fist pumping his teammates, it shows you the level of determination by the captain. I truly do get bothered by the individuals who hate him out there. It actually makes no sense. If you watch him in the face-off circle throughout his career, I mean, if you know the game of hockey and you know little things outside, well, he's the captain and the team hasn't won the Stanley Cup yet, therefore he's the worst and this organization is relying too much on him. Well, if that's your take, then you just don't know the sport. That's all. You just don't know. The level of buy-in, the level of respect by the teammates, that little facial expression, it shows me how bad he wants it, how much it means to him. And we know the contract situation. He keeps this up. I think it's a no-brainer. I think it's a no-brainer regardless. You bring this man back, and he's going to want to be here. And if this team competes at a high level this season and it shows signs of, look, this is no joke. We have the netminder of the future. We have Atkinson. We have the locker room. We have, some of these players in here that are going to, Joel Farabee. We have the unit. We have the core. I don't see G going anywhere, but who knows? That's farther down the road. There's so much that can happen. I don't want him anywhere but in this uniform because I can't wait for the day that man lifts the Lord Stanley Cup at the Wells Fargo Center and that place erupts. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, though, like I said. We'll get there. I know it. Deep down, my gut tells me I know it. I will see it. Love the way this team is playing, by the way. Just absolutely love it. They have a swagger to them. I mentioned this about a handful of games in. I said they have a swagger. They do. They have an attitude to them. They have an edge. You need that. You have to be a motherfucker to play against. You have to be in a spot where the other team is uncomfortable, where they know you're going to get hit, where they know they're going to get chirped, where they know that if they make a mistake, guess what? Here comes a rush coming the other way. The Flyers are pursuing, and they're doing well in transition. They got numbers. And I know this sounds so silly and so little and, I don't know, just so tiny, but, the way that Sean Couturier, I'm talking about the first period, the Flyers get a power play because Hyman, he ends up hooking Travis Sanheim as the Oilers' penalty was, their power play was expiring. He takes an offensive zone penalty, and the power play for the Flyers sets up off the rush. Sean Couturier drives the net, which opens up the third man high for JVR, who gets an opportunity to just rip a shot there in the high slot. I've mentioned that 6,000 times already this season. That, Sean Couturier drove the net, which opened up a lane. There's teams that take the lazy approach and don't drive the net. We've seen this before where the Flyers would just throw shots on net where, wow, that's great. In theory, they have a lot of shots. But guess what? At the end of the day, it doesn't mean much because they're not generating high grade A scoring chances. It's a lot different when it's this way. So I'm going to see here. I know Alain Vigneault was, as Carter Hart puts on the jacket for the night. That's always fun. And they end up playing Vancouver. Don't forget, this is a back-to-back scenario, so they play Vancouver tomorrow night. Hard-fought effort, right? 60 minutes of battle. Let's see how they respond tomorrow after utilizing all that energy. But I want to see some things from AV. I know he mentioned he was not happy with the call on Travis Konechny, which I totally understand. Derek Brassard had 5 hits, an assist, and won 64% of his faceoffs. Ristolainen had 6 hits and 4 blocks. Like I said, I did see some moments that I didn't like. I saw some strong moments. He was a key factor in the first goal. I'm not just ripping him and saying he's doing nothing that is positive, but all I'm saying is, throughout the very short-lived start to this season, which, look, he's playing with a new D partner. He's playing under a new coach. There's a new system in place. But I do see a lot of the flaws that a lot of the people who didn't like the trade saw prior. I do see those problems. I knew Lawton had a good day in terms of putting pucks on net. Lawton, Lindblom, and JVR had 12 shots total. Lawton had 7 of them. Provorov was +3 with 25 minutes of play. Justin Braun had 2 assists with 23 minutes of play. He was +4, as I alluded to. But these are some serious minutes being logged in, and they have to play again tomorrow. With Braun, I love Braun. I mentioned this with Sealer, though. When a 7th D-man plays a lot of minutes, at some point, it's clearly recognizable that this guy does not deserve to be out there, and there will be issues. With Braun, it's been great as of now, and he's a veteran who can step in there at times. What happens, though, when he's forced to play top-line minutes for a long period of time? Will that eventually catch up to him where you go, okay, because, he's not a top-4 guy. He can do it on occasion. How long is Ryan Ellis out for, and how long can he keep it up? That's the question that I ask. But good for him because we need this. The Flyers absolutely 1,000% needed somebody to step up, and he's done that for sure. All right, as we continue the conversation here, DraftKings, let me tell you about them. The NBA is back in a DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. The key to victory is a strong starting 5. New customers can bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game. And if they do, you win $200 in free bets. So why not make your roster Washington, 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 and Washington. DraftKings Sportsbook customers can also get skin in the game with new same-game parlays. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code Brodes. Bet just $5 on any NBA team to win their game and win $200 in free bets. If they win, you win with promo code Brodes this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an authorized sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or older. Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. In partnership with Meadows Racetrack and Casino. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. So just some other quotes here I want to bring up. And Sam Carchidi said this after the game. I thought it was perfectly said. Hart outplayed Koskinen. That's the reality of the situation when your netminder puts you in a position to succeed by outdoing the other opponent's netminder. That's huge, and that's step 1 here of a multi-step layer process, but, that's definitely a huge advantage on top of everybody else on your team being bought in to do the dirty work and get in front of a lot of those shots. When Oscar Lindblom took that one off the skate, I thought, you don't want to take that skate off, my friend, because that thing's going to puff up like a balloon. I've been there 10 billion times. That's what I had to do for a living. I had to do that shit in practice just to hopefully make the lineup towards the back end of my college career. So trust me, I understood that how much that sucks. And I'll tell you what, though, there's one pleasant part about it. When you go back to the locker room, when you go back to the bench and the boys are loving it, that's the satisfaction right there. AV said that Hart made some big saves in that second and third period, and the guys in front of him came out hard. No doubt about it. Some other quotes here, just looking around. I thought it was a pretty strong effort up and down the lineup. This is from JVR. You can't take a shift off against them because they can make something out of nothing. You think? Yando on Flyers PK. Our guys did an amazing job blocking shots. I thought the PK and Hartsey did an amazing job. G on Carter Hart. He made the saves to keep us in the game. He looks pretty sharp right now. He does. I mean, last year it was bad. Last year he was all over the map, and we were questioning where is he mentally. It's not easy being his age and being the franchise guy, but you knew deep down that the talent was there. It's just how do you approach the game? How do you settle things down? And look, this was an emotional game for him as well, being from the Edmonton area, the homecoming game. They showed his mother in the stands a bunch of times. They even talked about it on the broadcast where his dad can't even stand being there. He obviously can stand being there, but it's like he gets so nervous that maybe he has to walk around a little bit to get away from the drama and all. He was stellar, and we know that he can be. We know this can be the Carter Hart. It just comes to learning experience, adapting. The sports is all about adapting. And Alec Boehm, and I like to tie other sports into what I'm talking about. Alec Boehm started off his Phillies career amazing in the shortened season. Then pitchers adjusted to him. It's now on Alec Boehm to readjust to what the pitchers adjusted to. It's the same deal with Carter Hart. Carter Hart came into the league. He showed how poised and calm he was. Then you realized last season, and it didn't help that his decor was just all over the map and leaving guys wide open and turning the puck over at will, nonchalantly, 5 billion times a game, leaving guys backdoor, and he was left out to dry a lot of the times, and sometimes psychologically that plays a role in your confidence, and then you get beat on shots that you should stop. But my point is, he started out solid, and then the team or the other team started figuring out, okay, high glove and things of that nature. Now it's on him to readjust to the league once more, and we're witnessing that right now, and let's see if it continues. This is a great start to the season for the fellas. It's so crucial to get off to a big start, especially when you lose your number one D-man. Things can fall apart quickly for you to show, look, it don't matter. We'll plug and play right now. We'll beat the best teams in hockey right now. Edmonton's a tough team with a lot of good scoring. And in the beginning of the game, you thought, what is this going to be? Is this going to be 15-10? Is this going to be 19-17? How is this going to shape up? And second period, things settled in a little bit. Sometimes teams approach the second period differently because of the long change. Although Ryan Nugent-Hopkins had a breakaway because of a bad change by the Flyers. He just missed the net completely, so the Flyers escaped one there. Edmonton had control in that second period. Then the Flyers had control in the third period, so it kind of flip-flopped after the bizarreness and the uniqueness of up-and-down action there in the first. So proud of this team. That's basically the moral of the story, and I can't wait to see how they play against Vancouver. They just saw Vancouver, game one of the season in Philadelphia. They lost. They had an epic comeback late. Claude Giroux with a big goal. Travis Konechny with the one prior to that, and there was some power play action late. They want an opportunity here. I'm sure that's still fresh in their mind. It was a few games ago, but it was still recent enough to remember it. Let's see how they come out swinging on the second half of a back-to-back. Before I let you out of here, this episode is brought to you by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of industry experience, Orbit Energy and Power is home to your solar experts in both residential and commercial projects. At Orbit, they're dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. Orbit also provides water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So make sure you check out their information down below in the description. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.